that stuff's got to go. So, all right, we'll go and do this real quick here. There we go. And hey guys, what's up? What's up? Are we live right now? It says we're live. We're a couple seconds into the broadcast. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Caliber Corner. This is episode number 189, season 4. And today we're going to talk about how the high cost of ammo and or an ammo shortage may or may not be affecting your ability to go to the range, what some of the alternatives are that you might have, what are some of the options. Also, is this affecting your training for those of you that maybe wanted to do some summer training? So here I posted this comment, and then I went to my local Shields last night, and this was on the shelf. This was hundreds and hundreds of boxes of 9mm ammunition at the Shields in Lincoln, Nebraska for $17.99. And I thought maybe this isn't really the topic that we need because maybe the ammo shortage is not the issue anymore, even though we got a lot of YouTube videos out there that are saying it is. Maybe it depends on where you are, because here in Nebraska, it isn't necessarily a problem for us. I mean, there are some calibers that aren't in stock yet, but things are slowly starting to trickle back. So before we get into that topic, let's go ahead and let this awesome panel of very awake individuals introduce themselves. Night Strike, we'll start off with you. How's it going, man? How's your morning going?
Okay, Travis, I will let you know. I was at PSA the other day, this week. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Still, tons of boxes of 8mm, more than there was last time. Still no 30-06 M1 Garand ammo.
Like I said, some of these rifle calibers, I think they're going to be thin for a while.
Well, at my local Frontier Justices, you could buy, I bet you, well, I texted you, I bet you there was 200 or 300 rounds of hunting ammunition, 308, and then there was probably 100 rounds of 30-06. Not M1 Garand stuff, but...
I'm looking for 150 grain full metal jacket. None of it. It's gone.
Oh, all the FMJs? Oh, yeah, all that crap's gone. Unless you make it yourself.
Yeah.
I am.
Might start getting into casting their Night Strike. Start harvesting car batteries for lead.
I'm not doing that. I don't have the space.
There you go. Contract single shot to cast them up for you. So,
and I wouldn't use car battery lead. Oh no,
I have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't do anything I tell you to do on the show. By the way, just don't. I'm not an expert, so.
No, that is bad news. That stuff.
But Night Strike. So tell us about your channel and the podcast that you host. What's it called? What's it all about?
It's hit or miss every Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock on the Night Strike 1 channel, and then. You know, if I'm so inclined, there's the Thursday edition strike and the Friday night strike.
And that's 8 o'clock Central Time for those of us that live in the more refined section of the country, the Central Time Zone. So,
I mean, if you need to translate it, go for it.
Yes, absolutely. The Great Plains, the heartland of America, the God's country. Blake Shelton sings about that cool song.
There is no translation from 8 p.m. Central.
I have no idea what he's talking about. It's okay. We have our time zone rivalries, which I don't understand because none of us can avoid it. So it's anywho,
I just try to stay out of the other time zones.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're in my time zone now, so that's all that matters. You're in the center.
I've always been
the central
in your time zone.
There you go. All right,
the best time zone out there.
Foos is taking sides.
Foos quit hitting on me. All right, so Tony's with us today. Tony, how's your morning going?
Just like any other.
All right, you're doing good. So are you getting outside a little bit? You doing some shooting? Or are you taking the grandkids out? What have you been up to these days?
I actually haven't fired a gun in a year.
Really?
And
wow.
No reason.
Okay.
I've been going to do it down at my daughter's house several times, and it rained every damn time.
That's typically what happens is I'll plan a range test, and sure enough, we have severe thunderstorms that roll through or hail or, oh my God. Yep.
It doesn't bug me much. I mean, I don't care that much about firing a gun. I know how it works.
Sure.
It is much like riding a bicycle. You don't forget.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You don't forget, but your skills it'll take a while to get your skills back.
I ain't had a problem with that.
Yeah, some people no.
So that could be the debate.
Well,
how does this ammunition situation change what we can do and can't do? So are we losing our skills?
No, so picking up your gun, like this is, of course, me and in shooting sports. if you're top of the game at the end of the season, normally you put it down for your off season, you pick it up, you may be running 95% of your skill, or other people look at it, you're like, okay, you haven't lost a beat, but you have, because just that the sharpness isn't quite there. You're shot to shot or whatever isn't
tenacity
quite there. Yeah. So
yeah.
It does a little bit. Like that class I went to last weekend, I got there late because I had my bank issues, and then I didn't get a warm up, so I started in firing in the first couple drills. Like, what are you firing? Warning shots?
Yep.
They're like, sorry, man, I'm jittery. I'm out of the loop.
It took me probably a couple magazines to dial it back down because I had done a lot of shooting.
Hey, real quick, let's continue with the panel intros here. So Craig is with us. Craig, how you doing today, man? Also known as Foos.
Foos,
what are you doing these days, man?
I'm training hard. I've had my first major match beginning of this month. I have another major match the middle to end of next, and that is starting my my shooting season.
Okay.
I already have about 10,000 rounds downrange this year, and it's looking like it's going to be about a 30,000 round year.
So just so people know, Foos is not paying the $50 per box or $40 per box for 9mm that most of America is unfortunately paying right now. You are a reloader, and so you prepared for this. You've had supplies on hand for years. Yeah,
I'm a reloader. Last time I bought powder was in late 2018.
Oh, I was so young back then. Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry. Late 2019.
Okay.
Sorry, 19. Last time I bought primers was early 2020, and I traded for another 10,000 primers about a month ago.
I was so young then.
Yeah, we all were young.
Nice Wreck was in his 20s. AWAG was just a tween.
Yeah. So bullets aren't hard to come by. I bought a bunch of brass beginning of 2019 or 2020 as well. So I'm stocked up for this year. I may be able to go a little bit into next year, but
yeah. Well, good. Well, I'm glad you're with us. You've been with us for many episodes now. It's always cool to have you stop by and give us your insight. Now, we'll be coming right back to you after we get done with these intros and get all our energy, because I want to talk the whole competitive side of things and how that may or may not be affected. So, all right. Also moving on, Defense Dad, what's going on? Another fellow Nebraska joining me today.
For all those of you looking for ammo, Foos travels a lot. His address is...
No, just go visit your local Shields, and you'll probably find some 9mm on the shelf like we did. So
there you go.
But what sucks is it's 100 rounds limit.
Well, you can bring your significant other with you, and I'm not saying you should do this because it's somewhat immoral, but you could walk out, come back in an hour later, or go in the morning and go in the evening and still get it. Yeah,
I don't think that's nearly as immoral as it was a year ago.
Well, the prices that people are charging, and then a lot of these channels will show you what the ammo they got for sale that they got in stock, and they've got 20 pallets of it, and they're stacking it deep and selling it 3 times more than its price last year. But hey, it's America. This is capitalism. They want to do it, they can do it. We can choose not to buy it.
I only think it's immoral if you are not going to shoot it. If you don't plan on shooting it. If you buy it planning on reselling or buy it planning on stocking it, that right in pandemic times or panic times like this, that's where I call it moral.
No, and again, we got a lot of new shooters that are just getting their inventory built up, and a lot of us bought ammo when it was cheap, and we didn't necessarily shoot it. We were just stocking up on it, but it wasn't a shortage period either. So
that's what I'm saying. Immoral during normal times versus immoral during these times, different definitions.
Yeah.
My opinion.
All right. Defense Dad, tell us about your channel. What do you have to offer, man, for people who are kind of curious?
Got a little channel. I'm up to 750 subs right now.
1,000, man. Let's do it.
I actually haven't posted a video in a while. I've just been lazy, to be honest with you, but it's just kind of geared towards new shooters to help them learn from the mistakes that I made along the way and other people make, and I'll be getting some more content out here soon.
Okay. Well, we kind of hit a period where we're busy in our lives. A lot of us don't do this. This isn't a full-time job. We do this as a hobby. We do this for fun. We put out videos when we can. And when you kind of put out consistent content, you kind of feel some pressure on yourself, or the viewers are kind of curious, like, hey, you going to put anything new out there? And you don't always have time.
Well, and it's just been, I've been real busy at work and a lot of stuff going on at home. So.
Oh, sure. No, that's all good. Yeah.
Well, Defense Dad, you have 573 now.
I lost 200?
No, you don't lose 200.
750.
Like, dude, don't you work with numbers for a living? Come on, man.
Yeah, I do have some.
Come on, Craig.
I gained 3 overnight.
Hey,
did you get the memo, Craig? He's up to 700. What about those DPS reports?
Hey. We have autocorrect for a reason.
All right. Where are we at here? Single shot. What's going on? How you doing? Are you on the road today or what?
Oh, yeah, I'm on the road. I've got the same problem you had here just a few minutes ago with electronics. Blasted crap fired up.
Well, the internet did go out at my home here right at 8:01 a.m. Central Time, so we had to kind of bring everybody back in, have people leave so I could become the moderator and start back up again. That's not GunTube's fault. It was strictly my internet connection just farted out, so I don't know what happened. I've got a nice fiber connection, but it doesn't matter sometimes. So.
It's the great state of Nebraska.
Well, we just went from Pony Express to Telegraph to internet last week, so it's we're going to trade out our 56K baud modems for something a little bit faster next week. I'm hoping get rid of those dot matrix printers, move into bubble jets.
No, those dot matrix printers are going to be around forever.
They are. They're going to outlast all of us. They are the dot matrix printers are they're the Keith Richards of the printing world. Like they cannot be killed by conventional weapons.
We went live
for the
this
same
morning.
reason fax machines are still around.
So for those of you that don't know what a dot matrix printer is, let me go and explain. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's old school.
Yes, it is.
That's something
yes,
from my channel or LGR.
I had to explain to my students how the two cassettes, the classroom that I am, they've got an old Sony boombox from the 90s, and they have the dual cassette players, the top and bottom. I had to explain to them how you would make a mixtape and how you could do the double speed dubbing, So I guess I just taught them how to avoid copyright. But anyway, okay. They're like, how does this work? Why do you have two cassette decks on the radio? Well, let me explain, children.
Find a VHS player and you can teach them how to use a VCR.
Knowledge is not illegal. Them actually doing it is the illegal.
They were fascinated. They thought that was the coolest thing since sliced bread. Like, so you could just make a copy by putting a blank tape? And I said, yes. No iTunes, no devices, no Bluetooth necessary. Just hit play and hit record and hit that high-speed dubbing button, and you're set to go. So, yep. Anyway, enough of my problems. All right, moving on. Squib Lift in the house. Squibby, what's going on, brother?
I'm here.
You waking up? You got what are you drinking this morning? What do you got for coffee?
I am drinking Bolivian Colonial Caranavi.
Ooh, nice. So
it's an organic.
Bougie.
Oh, no. Squib is slowly becoming, oh, Jesus, he just said organic. He's becoming a coffee snob just like me. Oh, Squib. Here we go.
So I had to reshoot the ending of the video because I did the unboxing and tried it out for first time 5 days ago. And my review sounded more negative than what it really was. I wasn't happy with it. And over the 5 days, I tried brewing it differently. And I found a way to maybe make it where I like it more. But overall, the coffee is still not for me. I mean, how do you say this coffee is good, but it's not for me, and it doesn't sound negative? On the other hand, I'm not endorsed by them, so it's not like I'm like, shilling out or something.
So if there's the way to think about it is don't whether or not if you like it, maybe just analyze it for the characteristics it's supposed to have. I guess it'd be like test driving a car that you don't necessarily like the brand, but the viewers want to know what does the car have to offer, whether you're going to buy it or not. And so you just have to look at it and say, does it offer what it's supposed to offer? Is it a premium experience for the price they're charging?
Yeah, give it the characteristics, like if it's a little bit, bitter. Or
does it follow what the bag says? Is it bitter on the back? How's the roast quality? Yeah, but you're right, though. Those things could affect whether or not you're going to like it. And that's true with any product. So,
because if someone really likes an acidic coffee, and the coffee that is a little bit more basic, it's not going to be to your liking. You may have a good flavor, but is there something about it could be a little off for you?
And with that bourbon aged coffee that you just did the review for, Squib, I was pretty impressed how you went online to look up the flavor profile to see what what was it you were supposed to notice about it, because you didn't notice any characteristics of that. That's $18 a pound for that coffee that you show. I don't even remember if it was a 16-ounce bag or not. That kind of money, man. It was interesting that you did the research to actually, explain it's supposed to have these characteristics, and I'm not finding it,
Yeah, I liked it, but it was different, and I couldn't figure out how to say it was different. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't remember if it was a pound or 12 ounces. It's always a jip when you get a 3/4 pound bag. It's like, really? But the coffee that this Caranavi that I'm having, yeah, it said that it was low acidity. I disagree. It said it had a milk chocolate taste. I strongly disagree.
Okay.
But it's not crappy coffee. It's just not.
It's good. It just doesn't offer what they say.
Not as advertised.
Send me some of that, Squid. Just put it like in an envelope. Just give me like a half a cup of beans in like a Ziploc bag and send it to me, and I'll grind it up and try it, and I'll tell you what I think. Because I'm kind of curious. Because it's like, man, did they even give you what you paid for?
Did you just beg for a dime bag on your own show?
Absolutely. I will not turn down free coffee, but I want to try this just to see. Because I'm kind of curious about it too, because usually I don't have those kinds of experiences with a lot of the coffee that I try, But anyway, we're talking coffee. Why are we talking coffee? So real quick, guys, a sponsor for the channel, we've got SS Pond. They've been with us since the beginning, so make sure you guys check out SS Pond in Lexington, Nebraska. To get to the store, you just take the exit off Interstate 80. SS Pond's just off to your right. Stop in there, say hello to Stan, browse a firearm selection, pick something up, and SS Pond will take care of your firearms needs. Also, not necessarily a sponsor for the channel, but a lot of people ask me about this. We got rnldisplays.com behind me. Go to rnldisplays.com and get your AR-15 display stand. They are American-made. They're veteran-owned. They are 100% natural, nothing but the finest wood. And RNL Displays is the refined way to display your firearms. So there we go. What's that, Tony?
Let's not forget Maxwell House.
Maxwell House, the official coffee of the working man, right? There you go. And woman.
Dude, no, Folgers.
Folgers.
So much better.
That's what I need to do. I need to do just
a generic,
just basic store brand coffee shootout, and then make my determination. We're gonna get some U-Ban. We're gonna get some Folgers. We're gonna get some Maxwell House.
I heard that was the best part of waking up.
It is. Yeah. It is.
But the thing
no
is,
defense, Dad. You are. What's that?
What sucks is you can't get Folgers or anything like that in a bean form. It's all already ground.
Yeah, that's some of their higher end stuff that they offer. They might do bean because they've got different lines. They've kind of gone the artisan route and have put out some special blends and varieties. They might, but it is vacuum.
Would be interesting.
Sealed, so,
I don't. Yeah. It would be interesting to do a. Okay, here is your strolling through Walmart. What is the best? Any Walmart or any grocery store you go to, what is the best coffee for that? In your
like the old, is it chock full of nuts? Is it? Yes, I said nuts. Is it Folgers? Is it U-Ban? Is it Maxwell House?
It is Hills Brothers Colombian Supreme. Period.
That is actually pretty good. That is pretty good. What's scary is the amount of twigs and leaves that the FDA allows those coffee companies to grind into their coffee beans. The percentage of content they're allowed to put in there that's not actually coffee. That's scary.
You ain't never had coffee around a campfire? It's no different.
I don't put twigs and leaves in my campfire coffee. No, I'm just saying that, you go buy beans, you get beans, right?
That's true.
All right.
Okay, Travis,
yeah.
Between you and Santee from Arizona Ghost Riders, I've turned into this coffee snob, and now Folgers to me is, I have a name for it now. It's called, in my home, it's called ass coffee because...
Ooh, okay.
Now after drinking all this nicer coffee, the better coffee, the coffee where they put more into making it. Yeah,
or you're getting beans that are a higher quality or higher, because there's different grades of coffee beans when you buy them. There's different regions. There's certain types of roasting techniques that you're starting to pick up on. I remember for the longest time, you really could never tell much of a difference from one cup to the other. But once you start to have a couple really good cups and you start to get into the different varieties, you're like, oh my God. I'll never turn down a couple Maxwell House. The only thing I won't drink is decaf, unless that's all you have. And then, not to offend you, I'll still drink it begrudgingly. But you'd be surprised.
I'll offend you.
Yeah, well, Squid, you'll offend anyone. Travis, I'm going to have to say this right now. 8 o'clock coffee.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Especially the Italian roast.
Okay, I will try some of that. That'll be the next. Well, okay, I've got some Italian roast from a local place here in Lincoln that I'm going to talk about, but I will go get some of that. You know what? I should do an 8 o'clock coffee versus the high-end fancy coffee shop Italian roast, because they're both Italian roast, and do a head-to-head, just brew 2 pitchers of the same stuff.
Well, I will tell you this. If you can actually get the stuff from Italy itself, it's much better than what you get here. I'll tell you that right now.
Hold on a second. I have to respond back to Tommy Gunn right now. He says that Canada is the worst. I just said Timmy Horton rules. So Tim Horton coffee is pretty dang good. So I had that one time when I was up in Canada. But I will try the chock full of nuts or 8 o'clock coffee. I've had it as a K-cup before, but never as
8 o'clock is different than chock full of nuts. I don't like chock full of nuts.
No. I know there. I know. Yeah. All right. So
wait a minute. You said you had Tim Hortons coffee when you were up in Canada. You don't have a Tim Hortons in Lincoln?
They're East Coast, northeastern part of the U.S. right now. I don't know, or maybe like the extreme west side.
I thought they spread across this country like.
No. We've got Caribou coffee out here, but Caribou's like they're a different brand altogether. They're a national brand, but Tim Hortons, I don't know where the nearest Tim Hortons is. Maybe Michigan, maybe Illinois.
So I'm wondering if you can buy their coffee in the restaurant.
I've seen.
We always hit drive-through.
Yeah, no, like you can get the coffee on Amazon, and I've seen it a couple times, like in stores, like they've carried the K-cups of it before, or I've ordered the K-cups before, but it is so long ago when I purchased it, I honestly don't even remember what it was like, but
2 cups of coffee and some Tim Bites.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't had a chance to go to Timmy Hortons yet. I need to. I mean, just like all I've ever had was coffee from it. I haven't had it since I was up in Canada.
The closest one I can see to you, Travis, is in Indiana.
Oh my God, I'm gonna have to go out there and then go stay with roll call.
Yeah.
Go sit down for a cup of coffee.
Actually, it's on the opposite side of the
Squibby and Travis go to, instead of White Castle, go to Tim Hortons. You know.
Hey, yeah.
Roro and Travi go to Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
I used to go pick him up and go. We're gonna go to Tim Hortons. Let's go, Roro. He's like, what the hell? Oh man. So anyway, where's my dog? Oh, he's in the back corner sleeping. Let's go ahead and get going here. We got a couple comments on the internal. I got you. Okay, who's joining us on the YouTube side now that we've been talking for almost a half hour about coffee and nothing ammo related? We got Tommy Gunn out there. We got Foos going on. We got Patriot in the Dark. Travis T's in the house. One of the original Travi. We got Burnaby Sanchez out there too. Let's see who else is out there. Watt 75's watching us. Firefighters out there too. Let's see here. We got Gun Loving Grandpa Southpaw RX. Jason Stewart. Review is out there also. Kevin June's with us today also. Irish Wrist Watcher is joining in today too. I have to slow down when I say that. Defense Dad's out there and over here. M. Gabriel in the house. M. Gabriel recently acquired the Blue Wrench. And so M. Gabriel, be careful. That is a fully semi-automatic, high-capacity wrench that you have there. So make sure that you don't shoulder it when you use it. Let's see who else is out there. Tacos and French fries in the house. Tailgate Tiger's out there. Hey, Tailgate Tiger, congratulations. You won the Patreon drawing for the month of May, if I'm not mistaken. And Tailgate Tiger put a picture of that up over on Instagram to show off what I sent him. We had a really cool drawing last month. MKJO's in the house. Thomas Reese is with us. Ozzy Orsborn's out there. John Lowell. And Netflutter's with us too. So, the topic for today, and we're going to go right back to Foos on this one. There's a lot of videos out there talking about, is there an ammo crunch? When's it going to dry up? Where to get ammo? Who's got the best prices? Why isn't there any ammo? Instead of talking about why or when's it going to come back, let's talk about how it's actually affecting us. Now, everybody on this panel has a different ammo situation. Some of us are sitting on mountains of loaded ammunition, squib, but some of us, only have a small stockpile. Nice try. But then, some of us are competitive shooters, and so we got to kind of get rid of that. Our personal situation is going to be different than the average person. All right. And so maybe, I don't know. So Foos, how is this ammo shortage affecting the competitive side for shooters at all? Are you seeing a decrease in the number of people competing this year?
Yes.
Is there a lot of complaining about ammo? Are the requirements still there in the actual, are you still shooting the same number of targets and the same number of rounds? What exactly? I mean, you don't burn through 1,000 rounds of ammo in a competition, right?
No.
Okay.
So usually a local competition, 130, 150 rounds is about normal.
Okay.
Through majors, you're looking at 220 to 250 through that's level that's your sections and areas, maybe a little higher.
So we're talking USPSA for people that don't know.
Yes.
So people that aren't familiar with what we're talking about, it's a competitive shooting division. Yeah. And I'm kind of curious, how is the ammo situation, as we'll call it, affecting that crowd, right?
Yeah. And then I signed up for nets this year, which I'm going to be taking about 600, 700 rounds down to there in October. Yeah. Anyway, so what I'm seeing is there are fewer people going to that are your regulars at locals. You'll, instead of seeing the same 50 guys every month, you'll see 10 or 15 of them this month, and then 10 or 15 the next month. So they're skipping months. Those are the people that haven't, that didn't have a year or two worth supply. Mm-hmm. The people that are dedicated, training hard, trying to actively become better and are serious about the sport, their training has changed. The number of matches haven't. The round count on the matches has changed. Okay. Like instead of doing, nothing but 32 round stages, you'll have maybe 132 round, and then you'll have some in the high 20s, and then you'll have some in the high teens, some in the low 20s, stuff like that. So they are getting a more of a mixture of stages, which is a good thing because
so they're responding, they're acknowledging that there is a situation that's going to be affecting the patrons and the participants if they don't do something about it. All right.
Yeah. Because I have enough for this year. I have enough to start next year, but that's it. People in this sport are looking at, okay, this isn't going away anytime soon. What do I need to start doing now so I can shoot in 22? So round count's gone down a little bit. Training has changed. My training has changed. Like normally I would, pre-pandemic and all this stuff, I would dry fire probably 3 times a week, and I would go to the range 3 to 4 times a week, and I would run anywhere between 400 and 500 rounds at the range every time.
Okay.
Now I dry fire probably 5 to 6 days a week, about an hour each time. And then I go to the range once or twice, and I may only take 200 rounds with me. Okay. So, the whole dry fire,
you've changed, and you've got your build up and your components, and you've got your reloading machine, and so. But even you are still pulling back a little bit yourself.
Yes, because I don't I need to be able to shoot through 22. Earlier I said that this is a 30,000 year. Looks like it's going to be a 30,000 year. 30,000 round year for me. That's more than I normally shot. Well, I've moved, and if I could shoot every Tuesday, every Friday in matches. I could shoot every weekend if I want in matches. So there's a lot more matches here. I'm going to more majors this year than I ever have. I'm traveling more this year than I ever have. So my round count this year is going to be higher than normal because of that. Okay. But, I've also traded, I'm starting to use Magna primers where I could find it. I actually picked up 10,000 small Magnum rifle primers, and I'm having to seat them deeper to do stuff. So my pistol will light them. So I'm adjusting stuff like that. I'm using less optimal components, even though I still have a 17 or 18,000 small pistol. That's going to be my match ammo primers. So I don't, all my practice stuff, if
you gotta stay consistent.
If something goes up, doesn't go off, no big deal.
Yeah.
But, okay. So the dry fire thing.
Yeah.
You could do 95 to 97% of what you need to do without firing around. The only
drawing, cycling, trigger practice, breathing, reholstering.
I'm not even talking about, you don't even have to cycle the gun. So getting your draw, getting your index, looking at a
For
target.
single action, you obviously have to cycle the gun. That's what I'm saying.
No. So what you do is you pull the trigger first time, the hammer will drop on empty chamber, and then you just actuate your finger as you go through, and you pull the trigger as like it's a live round. Same with a double action, single action. Your first round, you will do double action, and then you actuate the trigger far enough forward to where it would pick up the single action or the single action, and you just work the trigger.
Okay.
You do all that. You pull the trigger straight back as hard as you can without disturbing your front sight going through your stuff. You could run around your basement. You could do everything that you need, almost everything that you need, dry, and your live fire is only confirming, yes, I could actually go this fast on, at a 15-yard target. Can I take it on the move? Can I actually take it on the move?
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no? Well, then you start practice. If you can't, you concentrate on practicing that in dry fire. So the next week, whenever you try it again, you're like, yes, I can now. Or, okay, you're sitting there at doubles. Can I actually pull a, 12 or 13 split, 0.1 or 0.13 or, split on a 10-yard target and make sure that my recoil mitigation is good. If not, you go back to dry fire and you work on your offhand pressure, stuff like that. Like live fire is for confirmation. And this is everything I'm saying is around USPSA and around pistol shooting.
Okay.
Whenever it comes to rifle, that could be different. Whenever it comes to long range stuff, totally different. I know nothing about that.
Yeah.
But for pistols, 95 to 97% of the stuff you do dry. That's how you're gonna. I mean, it's sometimes it's boring as hell sometimes, but that's when you figure out other ways to do it.
Now we'd had this discussion a year ago, basically about the laser options for your guns for practice and stuff. And I know that some people thought it was a great idea, and some people thought it wasn't such a good idea. And it's a bit of an investment, but we are going to take a look at those again and just check out some of the different systems that are out there, because people are still buying them and they're still very popular. They're still selling out because. For the cost of 4 boxes of 9mm online, I can go buy a complete laser training system and practice indoors and have fun.
Yeah, that's going to give you confirmation without recoil.
Yeah.
Everything that a laser trainer will do will tell you. Your eyes will tell you if you pay attention to what the gun's doing and if you are honest with yourself.
And then I look at the Manus X system, which I'm not endorsed by them, but they do show the movement of the gun before you pull the trigger and after, and it really lets you analyze some of your on the firing line behavior, which I think could be valuable.
Yes, but again, your eyes could do the exact same thing if you pay attention to the gun.
Yeah.
That's the thing is you have to.
But a lot of people don't even know how to start with stuff like that. I mean, they might be new to it, and they think the trainer is the way to go because it's a trainer, right?
Right. So something I did is whenever I got the Cool Fire trainer this winter. It's an interesting concept. I actually sent it back. The reason I sent it back is it does everything it's advertised. It cycles the gun. It has a recoil impulse. It doesn't have the recoil impulse. Like there's a push to the gun.
Yeah.
In order for the slide to come back, because equal opposite reaction. So the slide has to, the gun has to go forward a little bit, have to have a forward push in order for that slide to come back. Since you're not sitting on ground. And I trained with it hard. Like I went through a bottle of gas.
Oh, so it uses like a CO2 system.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I went through a soda, like the stuff that you use for soda bottles. I went through one of those worth of gas. I probably had, I had over 100,000 trigger pulls on the dang thing. And I didn't like that initial push forward because it made the gun dip. And I couldn't see what the gun was doing because it was dipping. So I went back to shooting with nothing because my eyes, I could tell what's going on without the gun, without that thing. So, I mean, stuff like that. It's a good concept. If you are starting, my girlfriend, she's starting it. Do I wish I had one for her gun? Yes, just so I
to get the practice and kind of have the experience with the cycling.
Yeah, because hers she has a striker gun, so she's not. So she pulls the trigger, and then the trigger is pinned back.
Sure.
Well, that's like I know how to deal with it. She doesn't. So,
okay.
Yeah.
From the YouTube side, just go ahead and chime in and let us know how your shooting experiences have changed. Have you decided to not do training or not compete, or do you not go to the range as much as you used to? There was a cluster of comments that came in here, and I think it really kind of sums up this vast majority of what we're seeing in people right now. Real quick, Alaskan Ballistics is out there. Alaskan, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Good to see you joining in. Thanks for being with us today, bud. Let's see here. So going back to those comments here, Jason Stewart says, I used to range trip at least twice a month, 700 to 800 rounds per trip. Barely have found 700 rounds of 9mm locally in the last year. So that's going to cut into your range time right there.
So Jason,
yeah,
this is a comment for him. Like, you now know what your usage is once ammo gets down, or gets
back in stock, or prices go down.
Stock,
or is available locally for him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Or however you get it, whenever you get it, figure out a length of time that you want to be able to shoot without being able to find it, and stock up till you have that.
True.
For me, it was a year and a half after this. And in the shooting world, like, people are saying they want 4 to 5 years worth of stuff. Like, I've talked to multiple people that are, I talked to a group of 3 people that they were thinking about importing 6 million primers just for them. So 2 million a piece.
Well, if they're planning for a lifetime, or they're planning for several years of competitive shooting, and they want to keep up on their game, they want to be the best.
Yeah,
that's just what people are going to do.
They said that they want 10 to 15 years per person of primers.
And can they legally import those primers? Is that a difficult process? I'm kind of curious, because that might be an option for some reason. Because we were hearing about how foreign primers are going to start coming over to fill the gap of what we can't get domestically.
They've already started to show up, but we're not getting them. Other, like, importers are getting them in. They are, so primers, they're being imported and they're being used by smaller commercial manufacturers.
Okay. They kind of got the bulk orders in early, or they got the offer first.
They're starting to get them. Yeah,
which isn't a bad thing if it means there's going to be more ammo out there for people to buy. But on the other end, for your reloaders, or the competitive shooters, the people who want to build their own stock, you're SOL. Yeah. Other comments coming in. Kevin Jung says, I'm shooting 22 like a madman, though. That's another option, and we'll talk about going through some alternative calibers here pretty soon. A lot more dry firing, says Tommy Gunn. Kevin June says, no ammo, no competing for me. My stockpile is too important to go through. White Space Marine says, I think things are just starting to get better now. It's just starting to let up. Yeah, like I said, for us locally, that our shield store had a couple hundred boxes of 9 that they got in, and a couple hundred boxes of 6-hour V Crown also that was for sale in 50-round boxes.
The one comment where they're saying that my stockpile is too precious. Don't think that your ammo is too precious, because remember, what's his name did a video on not having ammo and not shooting it when you need it.
Mm-hmm. So I have a stockpile. I have a number of rounds that I make sure I have, and then that if I need to dip into that, I can, but I don't want to dip into it. So I'm not even looking into that. So yeah, I whenever I'm shooting, let's say, I shoot through all my primers and stuff. I still have a stockpile of stuff. Some of it's new manufacturer, or when I bought it, some of it's my own stuff that I've put together.
It was Paul Harrell I was talking about. He did a video on having ammo and not shooting it. And in cases of if you're holding on to it for self-defense, use it for self-defense. You will have to go and use it. But if you're just holding on to it to hold on to it, don't do that.
So Justin Grimm says there's still ammo to be had. No reason not to go shooting. Yeah, I think it just depends on how much money people have to buy that ammo, depending on what they can get locally versus what they want to order online.
And KR saying he's not paying 70 cents a round for 9mm. And that's the thing, is there's ammo to be had. If you want to go shooting, it will cost you. You can sharpen your skills, keep your skills good, sharp, do whatever you need to do without firing a round. I mean, yes, it's always cool to, put the earmuffs on, put glasses on, go and put holes in paper. But if you are really wanting to get your skills up, there are people that you don't need to do it. Like last year's Nationals, a guy who got 5th, he lives up in Maine, Jay Beal. I heard him on a couple podcasts. Like previous to that, he shot one other match, and he shoots like maybe 6 to 7 rounds a day, or he does most of his stuff dry fire. Like he may only shoot 2,000 or 3,000 rounds a year, which is nothing for our sport. And he came in 5th. He does everything dry fire. You could get so good at dry fire if you are honest with yourself. That's the thing, is you have to be honest with yourself. You got to make sure, okay, you look at a target. Does the gun come into focus? Does it show up where you want? And do I pull the trigger straight back to where the front sight doesn't lift?
Move.
Do I let it out to where it's not going to move? Do I pull it again to where it doesn't move? And then does my finger actually hit the back of the frame on the second shot before I move my eyes off the target? You have to be honest with yourself for this stuff to work.
True. Gun Loving Grandpa made a comment out there. He said Mantis X is live fire or dry fire. Now, just in general, I'm kind of curious with those of you on the panel here, and maybe those of you chiming in on the YouTube side, are you noticing less people at your local range, or is the number of new gun owners making up for the number of people that just aren't shooting right now? What do you guys notice? Defense Dad, locally for the range you and I go to, does it seem about the same every weekend when you go out there or during the weekdays? What have you noticed at all?
Well, so I'm off on Mondays and Tuesdays. It's usually not busy, but even when I pick the kiddo up after school, we'd go and there's been less people.
Yeah.
Like even a lot of the old guys who were always out there, I haven't seen in probably months. So yeah.
Well, the weather hasn't been cooperating so much here. We've had days and days of rain and wind and just crud. A lot of people don't want to go trek through the mud,
Yeah.
for one thing, but so okay.
Well, and what I noticed too is, so I just went out to Justin's range, for that class, and I was talking to him afterwards, and even then, like he's a shooting school. They used to order a year ago. They were still ordering 30,000 rounds at a time before the start happened. Now he can't even touch that. He's casting bullets and coating them in polymer. He's paying the Boy Scouts to come out on a regular basis to pick up brass off the range. So it's changing a lot. I used to shoot, 2 years ago when I really got into this, I was going out every Friday night, and every Friday night shooting between probably 200 to 300 rounds a night. Can't even approach that right now.
Yeah.
So what he
kind of sort of can, but yeah.
What he needs to do is start having the Boy Scouts scour the berms for lead.
Well, what he does, so again, he's a shooting school, but he teaches like youth rifle and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So when they're done, he donates to their troop, but he has them pick up brass at the end.
Yeah. But like you go to your ranges and you start scouring the berms, you will pick up hundreds of pounds of lead just sitting on top.
Yeah, but you got to be careful. Like our range has a dead and set, unless they have specific days that you're able to do that, you're not supposed to, because it can really deteriorate the berms too.
Yeah.
So not everybody can do that. There's dead set rules where Travis and I shoot is only on certain designated days can you mine for lead. Otherwise, they'll kick you out if they find you doing it on a regular basis, because guys were out there doing that and they were constantly having to get loaders in there to fix the berms because people were just trying to do it when they knew they weren't supposed to.
Oh yeah. I mean, when I say don't dig into the berm, just pick it up off the top. Don't destroy your berm.
Just kind of glancing at ammo prices right now. Ammo Seek is showing Red Army Standard 762 by 39, 122 grain full metal jacket for 34.9 cents a round, which is not bad because I think over a year ago, I bought a case of some really high quality Wolf that actually has lead bullets. It's not the bimetal stuff or the steel core bullets or whatever. I paid, I think $349. No, I paid $249. Oh. But this is $349 for 1,000 rounds is getting better. 34.9 cents a round is not as bad as it has been. So that's a good sign.
So stuff like this, people are like, oh, that's too expensive for 7.6239. Okay, but you'll spend 40 cents a round for 223 just to send through your AR at a 50-yard range. I went, that steel Wolf or whatever is just as accurate at that range as your 40 cents AR stuff. Mm-hmm. Like it's more expensive than what it was, but comparative to other ammo, it's still cheap.
Yeah. I think it's going to get better. I'm starting to see a lot more Remington ammo showing up on the shelves, and that's kind of offsetting some of the now, when I say getting better, I'm just simply saying being in stock. I'm not saying being at a price you want to pay, because there's still a few of the ranges here asking $25 for a box of Remington 9mm, 115 grain, whereas a few places like Shields, they're going $18 for a box of PMC bronze brass, 115 or 124 grain full metal jackets.
So Burn Babe, yeah.
So who's the real culprit in holding all of this stuff back? Is it the distributors, or is it just the people on the docks, or what's going on?
Why do we have high prices in general? Is what you're asking?
So high prices. Manufacturers. So components have gone up. Cost of brass has gone up. Cost of copper has gone up. Cost of lead's gone up. Everything has gone up. The powder supply, most of our powder comes from overseas. Whenever you start looking at coming from overseas, you look at there's not worker shortages, but in other parts of the world, they were shut down for months everywhere. Shipping was shut down. So also everything dries up, and then to get that stuff going again is expensive. Here in the U.S., we no longer mine for lead. So all of our lead either comes from China or is recycled. So we do not have a domestic lead in the U.S. anymore. That quit probably 10 or 12 years ago, and Missouri was the last lead mine. So that's a thing. Brass has gone up, nickel's gone up, copper's gone up. All these components have gone up in price. And then you have the sheer volume. Remington's came back on. Hornady's expanded. They've gone from 2 to 3 shifts. They are running harder now than they ever have.
I know they just expanded that plant out there.
Yep.
Quite a few years ago. I've been out by Hornady several times.
Yep. There's another, because the Remington plant in Little Rock, as they were getting reorganized, they got going, but they also expanded during that time as well. Yeah. Everything is going full bore. It's us. People are still in the panic because of riots, because of unrest, because of fear of government, and because of administration as well. And especially an administration that is kind of looking like they want more wars coming up, and that's going to put a higher demand on all this stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, and Dwayne said no hunting ammo in my state. They're going to have some hunting ammo, but most of it's going to go to the stuff that they will sell the most of. Yeah, let's say if you have 30-06 or 308, you change it over to 30-06 and you pump out, I don't know, 1 million rounds for hunters. That's great, but if you could run 3 million rounds of 30-06, or not 30-06, but 308, because you don't have to tear it down, you just keep going. You're going to do that. Yes, your price per round may be less on the 308 profit than the 30-06, but if you could sell more of those, it's how many dollars per minute can you make? So
it all boils down to this: we're in a hole we'll never get out of.
We will get out of this. The end's going to happen. It will be a while unless we realize our government is not going to come after our stuff, and we stop buying. That is when we'll get out of it. We are our own worst enemy in this.
Now, this country has turned negative big time, and I don't see it turning around for a while. And the reason
in terms of what? In what, Sandhills?
It depends.
In what single shot?
Oh, hold on. It depends. If in 2022 we flip one of the House of the Senate to red and a staunch red, then I think it will be okay. They're not going to be able to touch our stuff because we have the legislation in there.
Well, the thing is, Craig, though, if it keeps going the way that it is, this country's on a downhill slope on a rocket sled on rails and no brakes. I don't see this turning around, even in the elections. Look at this last train wreck that we had. I don't see that changing around because of all the blasted illegal stuff going on. I agree. Not without serious repercussions.
I agree with you, but if we're talking about one minute part of the equation with talking about ammo, if we swap and get red into either the House or the Senate, people will stop buying. And then ammo will come back. Ammo will eventually maybe not be as cheap, but because inflation of the dollar, it will get close. It may be, instead of a box of, let's say a box of whatever is $10, that box of 10, maybe box, it may be $11. That's what it's going to end up. That's what's going to end up going back to.
I don't think it's the inflation of the dollar. It's a quantitative easing, devaluing the dollar. Seriously.
Well, it's what you just said and what I said is the same thing. Inflation means that the value of the dollar for a product it's less. That means the value is less. That's what you said. I'm saying inflation meaning it takes more to buy the same product. You and I just said the same thing with different words. Yeah.
Quick little chime in here on some comments. Tommy Gunn is saying the USA will turn into Canada. God help us. Sketchy Roll says all online prices are bad. Kevin Jung says I can't get online places to ship to California. Burnaby Sanchez, he says the other main thing nobody's talking about is that fuel costs have gone up significantly, and that's gonna single shot. You've talked about this before. Fuel costs go up, you're gonna see those increased prices on shipping, which is gonna get passed down to the consumer at some point or another, or when you buy directly, you're going to see shipping prices going up, whether it's through FedEx, UPS,
I can certainly attest to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But I mean, like FedEx and UPS and some of these, large companies, they have contracts with the fuel suppliers directly, whereas over-the-road truckers, they buy, they buy them at gas stations, just like whatever. But like FedEx, UPS that have centers around the country, they have on-site fuel. They don't fuel, at least their semis, they don't fuel them over the road. They have strict contracts with it, so they get a different price. So it is cheaper for them.
But just in general, I think you can see shipping costs go up because of increased cost to ship. I mean, that's just with fuel going up, it's going to get passed on eventually.
Well, not only that, but there has been a shortage of commercial drivers in this country for about 8 to 10 years now. That's just getting worse. Like the fuel, getting down into the southeast part of this country with that, whenever that pipeline went down, people was like, there's no shortage of fuel. It's shortage of transportation to get it to them. We had trucks. Right. We had trailers that were sitting there filled waiting for it, but we didn't have the drivers with a proper accreditation on their license to be able to pull the hazmat fuel.
That's right. You have to have a hazmat endorsement. You have to have a tanker endorsement.
Yep.
And a lot of the drivers that we're getting right now are coming from outside this country because they're screwing the seniors like myself and driving the seniors out of the transportation industry. I'm looking at retirement here soon. And the price of fuel, I used to be an ex-owner operator. I know what I'm talking about with that. Every single price increase on anything that they induce on this industry gets passed to the consumer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's nothing new. They've been doing that for decades.
Yeah,
it's nothing new.
I know.
Right.
But is it getting worse now?
Well,
exponentially, is it getting worse?
People are looking at short-term stuff and losing their minds.
Hold
stuff goes up, it goes down, it goes back, it goes forth. And I think people have short-term memories. They don't remember when gas was $5 a gallon.
No,
they don't remember when the fuel surcharges first came around, and it's like, what the heck is this? They don't remember a lot of things. Everybody out there is so dang doom and gloom today. I mean, believe me, I'm not bells and whistles and rainbows and unicorns. I'm a pessimist because it's a strength, not a weakness. But dang, geez,
a difference from then to now is then we still had people in the industry. We still had people that wanted to work. I'm talking about 2012 time frame. Government wasn't giving out as much of assistance. You still had people that wanted to work. You still had people that went out and got their hazmat and their tanker licenses and stuff like that. Now we've had a shift of society, and the shift of people that want to work are retiring. Or there's no longer a sense of I want to work to better myself and my family. It's a societal shift that has been pushed on from the top down due to AKA the welfare state.
Well, that boils down to the lack of morality. They have no personal drive. It's been taken away from them.
Yeah, and they said the driverless trucks, our infrastructure.
I don't even talk about that.
So what? There's platooning going on where 2 trucks are linked up. The second one will be close to the first one. There's still a driver in them. No company wants to be that first company that has a driverless truck and cause an accident where there's a death, because that company will be gone.
Here's we gotta check the validation of these, but here's your U.S. unemployment rate from January of 2010 to July or January of 2021. So, I mean, it was higher at one point, but we've had, things were getting better. And then we have a spike that happened July 2020. That would have been your pandemic peak right there. And then things went off a little bit and then went back up. So, yeah.
Yeah, but if you look at that downturn, and at the very bottom, look when that was. January of 21. No, to the right.
Right here?
Increase, yeah.
It's October of 2020.
October of 20, okay.
And
so it's just kind of interesting, yeah.
A note about these driverless vehicles. You're never going to get a computer street smart. Never.
Very true. You'll never get a computer be able to anticipate what another human is doing in their vehicle.
Unless you have like a paved specific autonomous lane that the train runs on like a track. Yeah. And that surface is consistent and there's no side interference there, but you're still going to have wind. You're still going to have, potential debris. Yeah.
I am in the IT field. So the majority of our coding has to do with human interference, like putting improper stuff into code base. Same with these driverless trucks. They like just driving and keeping between the navigational beacons, or hey, I'm linked up to the truck in front of me. I need to be here. That's fairly easy to do. It's all the other effects. Even if wind, let's say you have a driver in the very first one, you have 3 trucks platooned. If wind hits, they're all going to hit them pretty much at the same time. That's easy to deal with. But if all of a sudden another vehicle squeezes between you, that's hard to fix. So
what you're talking about is called platooning.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if something goes wrong in the front, the rest of the trucks are in jeopardy along with the one in the front. Yes. These driverless vehicles have been involved in many accidents already, and some fatalities. So trusting your life to a vehicle driven by a computer that's not street smart is like playing Russian roulette with a loaded cylinder.
Now, something that Squib did say, it's not all doom and gloom. No, it's not. The sun still came up. We're all still alive. We all still have relative freedoms. Like, life is good. We're talking about first world problems here.
True.
It's
and this could still have an impact directly or indirectly on the cost of ammo. In the end, it all kind of relates back to what we buy on the shelves and the prices we have to pay. So let's go on to something a little bit different. So what alternatives do we have if we don't like the current situation, if we're not able to get out to the range as much as we would like to? So we've mentioned dry firing is an option. The other thing I would suggest to people is maybe go into your stockpiles a little bit and go play around with some of those calibers that maybe you haven't shot in a while. Maybe you've got a nice stockpile of, say, 270 or 243 or some 30-30. That's what I'm going to shoot this summer. Maybe get into some of your alternate calibers that have just been sitting around. You got a couple hundred rounds of your 40. Go take your 40 out and shoot it, or your 45 if you have those options. Or we talked about this before. What can you do? Go get yourself a nice semi-automatic 22 long rifle handgun so you can still practice and still have a chance to go to the range, take the family out, still have that experience. So there's lots and lots of options for us. I mean, a lot of us are saying, well, we're just sitting back and we're not shooting right now. Well, you look at the cost of ammo, it probably wouldn't cost you much to go get yourself a nice semi-automatic 22 LR and go out and just go have some fun with it. So you got a lot of options. And the other thing I wanted to just look at and talk about, and Foos, we kind of talked about this earlier. And again, this is not an endorsement, but I just want to look at some of these things, would be some of the laser training systems. And you say it's just like, it's a nice shot confirmation exercise or activity to do, but it isn't necessarily going to simulate live fire. Now, I got corrected on the YouTube side in the comments. Somebody said, well, the Manus system, the Manus X, will fire with live ammo and without. I think it'd be kind of cool to see a difference between the two, to see if there is an inherent difference in your placement accuracy. There's going to be, because the physics is going to be moving your gun.
But the physics happen after the bullet's already left your barrel.
I'm saying if you do a dry fire with the Manus, you're not going to necessarily get the slides, the reciprocation and so on.
Correct. Yeah. But what the Manus X does is it takes the movement of the firearm just prior to you pulling the trigger. So whether, so you pull the trigger and we all feel that wall and we all feel that break, and then there's over travel. Before your finger finishes that over travel, that bullet has already exited the gun.
Yeah.
So the physics behind everything for like the Manus X or, the stuff that does that, all that, the physics is already gone. That round's already gone. So if the Manus X in dry fire says, oh, you're right on bullseye and you do absolutely everything the same, the Manus X and the round will say, oh, you're right on bullseye. The issue whenever it comes between live fire and dry fire is dry fire, there's no recoil going to happen. So you don't try to correct for recoil, or you don't grab the gun as hard in dry fire. All this stuff. You don't
get the fatigue from firing the handgun, when you cycle actual rounds through it.
I could live fire a lot more than I could dry fire. Like if I'm out there training and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do nothing but build drills, not going to tape. I'm just going to, let's say I have for my Shadow or for one of my guns, let's say I have 100 magazines and I go through, I'm running 17 rounds and I just waylay through them all. I could still dry fire in that same amount of time, more rounds, and be more effective in dry fire than using all that ammo and doing it. Just because you have to be honest with yourself. You got to make sure your grip pressure is good. All that stuff. The difference is in dry, there's nothing going to go off, so you don't tense up expecting recoil. Where in live fire, you will, unless you train it out of yourself. Like a lot of people, they blink whenever they pull a gun, whenever they shoot. Some of us have been shooting 10, 15 years or whatever, may not. I haven't blinked while firing a firearm in probably 8 years, just because I fired so much. I know I need to see exactly what my gun's doing. At the point of ignition, I want to see that gun come up and I want to see it come back down. I've trained myself to. I don't blink whenever I shoot anymore.
Okay.
And that so in dry fire, whenever I'm doing it, I know what the gun's doing. Some people are like, oh, I don't know where that round went. Why? Were you not concentrating on everything? Were you not concentrating to see where your front sight was? Was your sight picture correct for the
what thoughts were you having before you pulled the trigger? What were you thinking about? Getting back home on time, or are you with us having your presence on the range?
Well, and like sometimes if you focus on your sights too much, your shoulders could get tight. Your firing hand could get tight. That's things that you don't have to worry about. I mean, that will throw your shot off. Whereas, okay, on this one, I'm just going to see the sights and not concentrate on the sights, because in dry fire, what a good sight picture is for the distance. So in live fire, I'm going to really work on keeping my hand relaxed and pulling that trigger straight back. Oh, and having my shoulders relaxed. So your mind's concentrating on that, and the sights are just showing up as you want them to. And all suddenly your group goes from softball size to dime size at 10 yards.
Cool. It's all good points, man. Defense Dad, you had your hand up. What do you want to say?
Oh, sorry, my dumb cat walked on my.
The cat would like to speak. Meow, 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 meow. Yeah.
Exactly.
Cat would say, "Don't hurt me." No.
he thought he needed to be petted, so I didn't mean to.
Oh, okay. He just takes control. We do have real quick. We do have a super chat out there. So this is from Irish Wristwatcher. It sounds like you. We had mentioned this the other night. You were looking for an Ivor Johnson 1911 chambered in 45 ACP, and I mentioned that SS Pond had one with that sweet rattlesnake skin hydro coat on it, hydro dip on it. So that might have been the one you picked up. I don't know. So Irish says, I just bought my first Ivor Johnson 1911 45 from SS Pond and was wondering if there's any tips on operating a 1911 from somebody who has only shot polymer. man, I mean, obviously there's going to be a different manual of arms. It depends. Are you talking single action or double action? You know, what kind of a polymer pistol are we talking? Like maybe a Glock. So Irish, give us maybe a little bit of a clue as to what you were shooting before. You might have to change your grip a little bit. You guys go and chime in. Your experience is shooting the 45, a 1911 pattern pistol versus, say, a Glock 19 or a Glock 17.
Most polymer guns don't have interchangeable side straps. I know, you know, a lot of them have, the back straps and stuff like that, so it could be bigger or smaller.
Yeah.
It's the width of most polymer guns that I don't like. They're too thin. So 1911, long enough, that's fine. If you need to get wider grips to fill your hands out, that's a good thing.
Or more aggressive grips if you want something that really locks into your hands, like lock grips or whatever. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I have big palm swells. My tactical sport is almost as wide as it is long in the grip. I like a big, fat, honking grip in my hands. So yeah, don't go there. So
Foose likes girth. Okay.
Yeah, I like girth.
He likes big grips, and he cannot lie. Yeah.
And you know, for a while, I shot really thin, and I was like, okay, I never knew any better until I started, you know, competing and traveling, and here's this palm swell, here's this. I started feeling like, okay, maybe I need to spend 80, 90, 100 bucks, whatever, to get grips that are thicker and see if I like it. So I bought one. I was like, I do. I started training with it, and I like thicker grips.
Okay.
So make the gun fit your hand. 1911s, you can do that. And get you some manual of arms and dry fire the living shit out of it.
Yeah, I think you can expect I've got a Ruger SR 1911, and it's nice and smooth, and it's awesome to shoot. It's not quite, you know, you look at it, you think, this thing's just going to be menacing, and you're surprised there's so much weight in that slide and the gun overall that it does make for a nice, stable shooting platform. I don't notice them to be jumpy at all. And again, the manual of arms is going to be a little bit different because you could go with the cocked and lock with the safety on. Yeah. Something
that Kevin says, like, going to have more recoil than the 9s. Hold on tighter with the 45. That is half that's incorrect. It is going to have more felt recoil than the 9. But if you're not holding the 9 as tight as you hold the 45, you're holding your 9 too loosely.
It might be a different kind of recoil impulse. It's more just kind of like a sling, kind of like right. There's a lot more just like pull. It's less. Yeah. It's less sharp, I guess you could say.
So your firing hand holds the gun so it doesn't leave your hand. You want your firing grip soft to where you can pull that trigger straight back. All of your recoil mitigation comes from your offhand. Your offhand should be grabbing the gun as hard as physically possible until your front sight starts shaking. Then back off. You want to grab it 9, 40, 45, 22, whatever pistol you have. You want to be having a maximum amount of grip strength on your offhand to where that front sight does not move. And if you start doing that, and let's say you go to the range with 200 rounds, and you just start playing with your offhand grip pressure as you're firing, you will see a huge difference on how the gun recoils. Does it come straight up and straight down? Does it come up and to the left? Does it come up and to the right? Does it come up and dip? All that stuff is so important, and all that is your left hand grip.
Yeah, it's going to be a different feel. I've always enjoyed it a lot more than any of the other guns that I have. In fact, I did a video on which handgun is my favorite, or which, if I can only have one, what would it be? And it was my SR 1911. So
yeah, and Kevin's like, so grip harder. Am I wrong? No, you don't grip harder. Is the grip should be the same no matter what pistol you fire.
Well, you might put a little more force on it if it's like something that's got a larger caliber that has a substantial amount of recoil, so it doesn't fly out of your hands.
Right. But if you could put more force on a 1911 or something that has a heavier recoil, you should have that same force on 9mm, and the 9mm will shoot better because there's less force on it.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying is across everything, your grip should be the same across everything. How the gun reacts to it will be different, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But your grip should be the same across, because if you can grip a gun harder, you should grip them all harder.
Okay. Defense Stat, what do you want to chime in about? You're talking
I was
about
just going to chime in,
general?
on the 1911. I didn't love my 1911 until I did put different grips on it, because again, I like the bigger grip. So that's good advice. The nice thing about them is their grips are so inexpensive for 1911. Yeah. You can do whatever you want to.
Yeah.
I love my M Arms grips, but they're not cheap. But they locked that gun into my hand a lot more than just the standard ones did.
Yeah, I think you're definitely going to enjoy it. It's going to be a good time. So then, and also I've noticed with many of the 1911s I've tested on the channel, in the manual, it just almost each one that I've tested, I've read the manual. It says expect, and we can argue about this for hours, but it says expect a 200 to 300 round break-in period, just because there's so much metal on metal contact, and sometimes the tolerances are so much tighter. There's less give than what you get on a lot of your polymer pistols. Because I mean, I even the $3,500 less Bear that I took out, that even in the manual it said, you could expect 200 to 300 rounds of not perfect function because of the extremely tight tolerances of this firearm. So I mean, that just kind of comes with the territory. But then again, on my SR 1911, my rear grip had no issues, and I fired 4 different types of ammo through it. I did some aluminum case, some brass, 4 different brands, different grain weights, and it ran like a clock. So it just kind of depends.
All
on
of these.
Yeah.
So you look at CZs that have full rails. You look at any other Berettas, any of these all metal guns. They don't have that. So extreme tightness. What it is they're mating? You're mating the frame to the slide a little bit better. All that should have been done during manufacturing. Your Ivor Johnsons, your Rugers, your Smith and Wesson.
Well, even like the Palmetto not Rock Island Armories. Yeah. They even say in the manual, it can take a couple hundred rounds to break in. So that's just something that can take place. So yeah.
And that is because they're leaving burrs, that they're leaving imperfections on it, and that's going to get shot out. Yes, yeah. But
did I hear 1911 talk?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but the issue is a firearm should not have that with modern techniques.
Nice Strike. If you're going to talk 1911s, you have Band-Aids on hand, right?
I do.
The disassembly process. Watch my cleaning video first, Nice Strike, before you do the cleaning of a 1911. And I can guarantee you that your hands will be back intact.
No, I've learned my lesson.
Soft, and kissable. So
I've learned my lesson, Travis. I don't need to watch your videos.
Okay, I got you. Okay. I understand. Yeah. That's fine. I've had 65,000 other people that disagree with you, but what, I'm just messing with it.
Well, the issue.
What would they know, right? No,
the issue right now is Nice Strike binds his hands before he cleans his gun now.
He puts MMA.
I use chainmail gloves from now on.
There you go. Put Kevlar gloves on when you take that slide off and put it back together. No, and I've cut myself on firearms before. There are some jagged edges on some of these things. There's some legitimately sharp, pointy pieces on some firearms you got to watch out for when you disassemble and clean them. So.
Now, what you can do is, like, if you bought a 1911 and if it sounds like the slide is sounding really gritty on the on the gun. What you can do is on the inside of the rails on the slide, and even on the rails on the gun, you can put a little lapping compound and just cycle the action back and forth, a couple thousand times, and that should smooth it out.
So, Nice Strike, which cleaning video did you want for me? Did you want the Taurus PT 1911 or the Springfield Armory? Or because you're a big Springfield Armory guy, you
shut your dirty mouth.
Or did you want the Ruger SR 1911 clean?
If you guys think that, Travis, you're going to buy another Sky CPX2?
No, I never said that. And I've also got the Colt. I've also got the Colt 1911 government model. That may be closer to what you're running right now. So.
If you guys think that 1911s have sharp angles on them, try the CZ Model 50 or Model 70. The slide comes to an awesome sharp point at the very back end.
Double as you can rip off the slide and use it as like a bludgeoning tool if you need to as a hunting.
No. So you know how all guns kind of have a nice little angle on the very back. It's not Correct. So it's more than less than 90 degree. Well, a CZ Model 50 is sitting at about a 45 degree angle, and and the way you grab it, it's just sliding right above the meat part of your hand.
Oh God!
And if you grab that wrong, I mean, it's a 32 auto, so it's not a whole bunch, but
it's still it doesn't take much,
right into your hand. Oh
oof.
Oh yeah.
Not fun. So. Real quick, I just wanted to show off, some training alternatives, things that people could test out if they wanted to. Some ideas for some practice around the house and stuff. Just kind of our thoughts on these things. What I'm going to show you, you've got a couple different cartridges made by different companies, and there's so many different.
You're not
different
shopping at
companies
Wish.com anymore.
No. We're looking at the laser light that you can get over at Amazon. With these cartridges that we have, these laser cartridges. There's different varieties of targets that you can get. Any of the targets that will accept a laser cartridge, you don't necessarily have to have the same brand. It's just it recognizes the laser itself. So it could be something like a cartridge. Some of these have replace your recoil spring. Some of these have a drop-in barrel that you can get. Some of them are a standalone gun like the SIRT or SIRT pistol that you see right here. So, I mean, you've got a lot of different options, and it kind of depends on whatever your price point is. And then on the laser targets themselves, they're anything from like $65, $75 up to hundreds of dollars if you want to go with them. And again, like Foose had mentioned before, it's all about your shot confirmation, but you can still run your drills and practices. And this is just minor league. There's probably 100 different options out there on the market for different types of targeting systems you can buy to practice around the house. There's some of them that use like projectors. I mean, there's a ton of different options. So,
some people are actually going the airsoft route.
True. Yeah, because you also have the the actions and cycling and the training. Yep.
With a lot of these laser lights, you do see how you need to center the laser.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't come quote unquote
zeroed essentially. Yeah.
So if you have one where it needs to be a little further up or something like that, you have to make sure that cartridge goes into your barrel the same way every time, or else that laser will start pointing in different areas. So you have to make sure that...
Well, they've got O-rings around the cartridges, so they should stay centered in your gun. I mean, just the basic ones where you literally stuff it down the barrel and then you push it out when you're done.
But if you use it today, you go shooting tomorrow, and then on Monday, you put it back in there. If you don't put it in there to the same orientation... it's going to be off.
Zero is going to be off. You're going to have to basically re-zero it every single time you use it. Unless you get the drop-in barrel options. Well, that would be better because that's got the laser in the barrel itself, or the recoil spring models. Yeah.
But I mean, as you guys said, Mantis X, if you are trying to get better and trying to train yourself to actually understand what's going on, for instance, my girlfriend, she's just now getting into shooting. I'm like, okay, what are you seeing? And she can't tell me. Putting a Mantis X on it can't help because you're dipping it to the bottom right. Like it's giving her feedback. It would be giving her feedback. It could be giving you feedback of what you're doing whenever you don't understand what's going on yet. It will help you get to the time and space to where I'm now seeing the gun dip. I'm now seeing this. I could feel my right hand tightening and push the gun to the left because the Mantis X is telling you that.
Yeah.
It's just, it will help you understand what's actually going on with the gun.
Well, and all the time, you can do something as simple if you don't want the expensive like a Mantis X or something like that. And don't laugh, but seriously, just go get a cheap one of those $20, $30 laser sights you can put on the rail on your gun. When you're doing your dry fire at your dot on the wall, you're going to see how much that laser goes all over the place when you're doing your trigger. So you can do something cheap like that, and then you can move it from gun to gun, too, if you don't want to go through that kind of expense.
And you might pay more attention to where the shots are going because you just have to look at your little red dot.
I never really messed with that until I got my little SIG that had the laser on it. And I quite honestly don't like laser sights as far as for using for defensive purposes or anything because you got to zero them at a certain distance. But I will tell you, when I dry fire that gun in the house, I put a sticky note up on the wall, and you can see if you're not doing the right trigger pull. If your front of your gun's going all over the place, it's visual for those people who are not as experienced as Foose. It's something they can see and they can start to correct.
I have a question for you. Whenever you're doing that, are you looking at the sights and doing all that, or are you looking at the dots?
Both, because they have it set so you can see it, and it's not a crutch, but it's a visual aid for those people out that are new and they don't know what they're doing. You're gonna see, because a bad trigger pull can, if you're shooting, I would
do Mantis X over a red dot. Or the laser.
Well, I'm just saying, for those people who just want to see something and they want to try to see if they like it, you can go get a $30 one, and you can see, like, if you do a bad trigger pull, you can see that dot moving up to 6 to 8 inches if you're not doing good trigger control. And that's an inexpensive way. And if you want to go further and get a training system like that, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, years ago, I learned a relatively simple thing to do to work on trigger control specifically. And if your gun is capable, all you got to do is balance a dime on the front sight.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do an empty shell casing, but like a lot. So the reason I bring that up is a lot of like newer. I'm gearing it towards newer gun owners. A lot of newer. They're younger. They like gadgets. Something visual. Like I still do a lot where you put just an empty shell casing on the front of the gun, and if you dip your gun, that shell casing falls off.
In the training world, it's called the white wall drill, which is you bring your gun up. It's a different renditions of what everyone is saying. Is you bring your empty gun up and white wall. Don't aim it at anything. You just get your acceptable sight picture, equal height, equal light, and you're just sitting there focusing on your front sight, and you pull that trigger. You start off slow, but you get faster and faster and faster, and you see where that front sight starts to move. And then if it starts to move, you work with your hand pressures to get it to where it doesn't move anymore. And you keep on doing it. And then you take and grab a timer off your phone and set it to 5 or 10 seconds. And you get it out there. You get your sight picture, and as soon as you hear the beep, you race the beep. So, like, let's say that beep is half a second long. You try to get your trigger press done in that half a second, or maybe it's 0.2 of a second. You race the end of it. There's going to be OODA loop by the time you hear it. It's going to be probably 18/10 of a second, or 18 thousandths of a second before you.
Still good practice, though, nonetheless.
But yeah, you do that, and you concentrate on your front sight, and you do not want that front sight to move. It's the same thing, different renditions of it. It's you don't have to go and pick up your brass or pick up your nickel or whatever every time. You just stare at that front sight, and you just start waylaying on that trigger, pulling it straight back. That's the thing, is that you want to have your firing hand relaxed enough to where you could move only your index finger without the rest of your hand.
Okay.
You don't have to pick up the dime neither when you successfully do it. You just flip the gun back and catch the dime.
That's true, but until you do that, you're going to be picking the dime up.
Molly did that shit the very first time she tried it. Pissed me off.
But I've been trying this for years.
How fast did she pull the trigger, though?
Not very.
That's the thing. It being able to, so in my sport, like under competition, like I've routinely pulled 0.13 splits and been fine. Normal splits is 0.2 between shots. Being able to do that and being able to pull the trigger straight back is a very valid skill.
Skill is to say practice to do or skill to have. Yeah.
And just like in a defense setting, you're gonna want to put rounds on target. If you could only squeeze it a real slow squeeze, you're gonna be jerking that trigger all over the place. So
yeah. But the key is to practice. That's the thing that you have to do. And the key is you can practice without having to use live ammunition. It's just to keep that muscle memory going, work on that coordination and the practice. And
it's finding time to do it. Like like I've got kids, people who have kids who just bought their first gun. You you have that magic hour of 45 minutes by the time you finally get the kid to sleep and before you're exhausted and go to bed. That's the time people are going to be doing this. So if you have a little bit, if you are new to it, just find those things that make it easier, because not everybody has the time to. No offense, Foos, but not everybody has the time to do all the training you do, because we're doing homework with the kids, we're that kind of stuff. So I'm talking about people defending their kids.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm in a unique place. I have disposable income. I have no children. So I have time. I know I am semi-unique being, without the children thing. So it's not, everything, I prioritize it. And how you prioritize your life is up to you guys. It's a give and take. My life situation, I could prioritize it more because I don't have other responsibilities. If I had children, it would be different.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, and even my life's different than my coworker. She's got 4 kids, all under the age of 5.
Oh.
She hasn't. She's a gun owner. She hasn't been able to get the range. I tried to help her do a little dry fire. I try to let her know, but she's just exhausted, man. So she doesn't have time to. So every once in a while, she gets time to do dry fire, or maybe once every couple months, she gets to the range, which a lot of people in that situation. So, and with the ammo shortage, this is what we're talking about today: is ways people can at least keep their skills up. Not to the competition level, but so they can be proficient. And I'll tell you, and I'm going to put a video out on it, but. Even as hectic as my life is, find time to do training, because I hadn't done a training class in well over a year, and it was an eye opener. How much when if you get a chance to go take a class, so something where you're shooting under pressure, it's way different than casually just shooting at your leisure at the range, or even doing dry fire practice. Kind of what you talked about. Like I got to where I downloaded a shot timer app to my phone because works. Yeah, I can't tell you, if you haven't done it, there's so much of a difference when you try to put yourself under pressure. You start anticipating, you do everything that you don't do at the range.
So, quick question for you. Whenever you went to your training, did they try to teach you how to practice? Because that's what training is. Like, you go and you take an instructor, it should tell you what you need to practice and what you need to do on your own.
They do, and it was so we had new shooters, and I'm not focusing just because I went to a training class that I'm like an expert here, but it reminded me of the stuff that I'd forgotten to do over the last year because I got complacent doing videos and stuff. So we had a new owner; they had never drawn from a holster before. So as soon as they found out, the whole class we did by the numbers, the stages of the draw, the correct draw, how not so. Those little drills you can do that you get complacent and you just want to go shoot the tightest group at the range, you got to focus on that kind of stuff too.
Like the biggest thing is something called index, and that is being able to look at a spot and the gun just show up already aimed. So whether it's coming out of a holster or transitioning from one target to another or going from low ready or whatever, it's looking to a spot and the gun just show up. You want to stay good and relaxed. Yeah. So, or, if it is a really wide transition, start muscling it over there. But right before you get to the target, you relax and let the gun just show up. Kind of like we all work with computers or deal with computers. Like, do you track your mouse? Do you watch your mouse as it go across the screen, or do you look at a spot on the screen and the mouse just shows up? That's how a gun should happen. You look at a spot and the gun just shows up, and it's fairly accurate.
Yeah, but you got to watch other things too. Like if you're going to do the training, if you're going to practice drawing from a holster, for example, if you're doing your dry fire like you're doing defensive training at home, you need to pay attention to what your other hand's doing too. Because I tell you what, over half the class when they did this drill, when they went to present, their support hand was coming up in front of the muzzle of their head, of their gun before they got it all together.
Yep,
big and bad.
So, like what I do is I'm a bigger guy. I got pretty good Dunlap going on. So as I come, I have a drop offset holster.
Tactical muffin top, I think, is the PC term there for us guys.
So what I do is I come up and my left hand comes up right around my belly button, And then as I start to present out, I'm pushing out, and then I have my hands meet probably about 3 to 4 inches away from my belly, down to where my arms are parallel with the ground. That's where they meet and they come up. Yeah. So I make sure I don't sweep my hands.
Yeah. So I guess my whole point to this is, since you can't get out to a range as much as you'd like to because of the ammo shortage or prices or time or whatever, there's other drills than when we say dry fire, but there's parts of dry fire, especially where a lot of these people, like we only have one range here that allows you to draw from a holster, and that's where I went, and they require you to do it. So people don't have a lot of practice, especially, again, not to sound like a broken record, but new gun owners, they practice from low ready or something. They don't learn their equipment. They don't practice how to draw it from the holster, how to reholster. So that's all part of it too, and that's all stuff you can do without shooting a single round as well.
So there are many dry fire books out there. There is a newer one. It's Ben Stoger and Joel Park, Practical Shooting Training. It is a very good thing. It goes from, hey, I just bought a firearm, to I'm competing for national championships. And shooting is shooting, whether you're doing it for defense or you are going for a national championship in a sport. The gun handling stuff, all that's the same. Whether you need to load the gun from concealment versus having a race rig or something like that, it's all the same. Now, the steps to do it may be different because I don't have clear garments or something like that. I know exactly where, I need to pull from my 4th or 5th mag pouch. It is, locations are different, but, steps are the same. If you start looking into the competitive mindset as far as how to get better, it will get you better quicker than, I'm just going to sit here and just do a straight draw to a Post-it note, and that's my only dry fire, which that's good as well. But there are other ways of dry firing. And if you don't know how to dry fire, there are books that will teach you how to dry fire. Mm-hmm. And the books, one good thing with a book is it doesn't have batteries. It won't run out. It won't, it's there. It's physical. It's there. Yeah. And you buy it, $20, $30, whatever. And it will take you from point A to point Z, everywhere between, and tell you how to do it. And tell you, here is an acceptable time. So you're like, at a 7-yard target, for me, 8/10, 9/10 of a second from beat to shot dry is where I need to be. If it takes you 4 seconds, fine. It'll tell you how, maybe not how to work on it, but it says, here's an acceptable time. Instead of 4 seconds, try to do it in 3, and then video yourself as you do it. Because let's say you're dry firing and you don't realize, muffin top or whatever. If you bend to the left, grab your firearm, straighten back up, and then put your hands together and present, that's wasted movement. Wasted movement is wasted time. So you got to then look at yourself and go, okay, I'm doing all this extra movement. I got to stop doing that. So you concentrate on not moving extra, and all of a sudden you're at your 3 seconds. Well, let's do it in 2.5. Boom, you're at 2.5. So seeing yourself do stuff, or you may be doing stuff in dry fire or even live fire that you don't know you're doing because you're concentrating on other stuff. If you videotape yourself and then go back and look at it, you will be like, oh crap, I didn't.
So when I'm making videos at the range, most of the time I tell video, I'm just filming my shooting technique because I don't want to get into a big conversation about what I'm doing because I just want to get my video done. And I'm still social with people. When I'm filming, it's like, oh yeah, I just like to watch my shooting and pick up any bad habits and stuff and see where my targets are. Which it does help me. I mean, that's, but I'm still making a gun video for YouTube, but filming is kind of interesting because you can see if you're, one thing I've noticed about myself is I have a tendency to let the gun down and swing it back up between shots. And I don't know why I've done this. And that affects my sight picture. And, I notice like my hands start to get lower and lower and lower as I'm shooting around, and I notice the shots will start to drift to the bottom left. And I'm watching the video like, oh my God, I'm not paying attention to my grip. not my grip, just my overall stance. It's like, oh, I'm getting slack and I'm getting lazy. I'm not holding it, the way I should. So just little things like that can really show you what you're not doing right. And I mean, this is all great advice for, for those times when you can't go to the range, or if you can't afford to go to the range, or don't have the ammo to go to the range.
And there's also a visualization technique. So, in the instances where, oh my God, I am extremely tired. Okay. Before you go to bed, you could be laying there in bed, okay, sit there. Okay. I have an undergarment, or, I'm concealed carrying. Let's say you do appendix carry. Okay. What are their steps? Sit there and you don't even have to move. You just think of, okay, bringing my
imagine yourself going through the practice process,
grabbing it, going up. Yeah, exactly. Not moving my, clearing my garment, and, maybe not actually send the message to your arms to do it, but just really think about, okay, do this and really imagine, and just doing that will get you half the way there. Just getting your mindset correctly, because whenever you do it, your mind's already like, oh, I know what I need to do. I just need to send out the instructions to your
physical response.
To do it. And all of a sudden, you're up here and the gun's out in front of you. And you're like, holy crap, that gun's sitting there on target. And the last time I touched a gun was 3 months ago. But if you practice it in your mind, that's a good thing as well. There's so many things. And William, hours and hours of dry fire on a snap cap
in a barrel. Okay, yeah, like a dummy round.
Yeah. That's same here. I actually have weighted magazines, basically, because I reload. I have projectile and brass. I have no powder, no go juice in it, and I have 3 magazines that are set up like that have a different color base pad. Those never had a loaded round in them. So I do that, and I know I pick up this magazine and I know what's in it.
Yeah.
So whenever I dry fire, it's empty chamber anyway. I just use that for weight of the.
It's a good idea, because it's going to simulate the process of shooting and stuff. So
absolutely,
it's going to simulate the heft of it on the actual firing line.
Yep. And if you have a polymer guns, if you have 17 or 18 rounds of 9mm, it does make a difference. For me, I have 20 rounds of 40, so that is a huge difference in the way your gun feels. Especially if you're swinging targets to target or coming out, if you're doing the, if you're just pointing at a wall and trying to get your speed up, that I would do it without a magazine, because your hands are going to be up in front of your body for a while, and that gun does get heavy. But if you start swinging the gun around, you want to have weight inside your magazine.
Real quick, there's some curiosity out there in the chat side, on the YouTube side. Defense Dad, how do you dry fire practice? What do you do? Do you do the bounce on the dime on the barrel, or do you have a laser system? What do you do to practice? Or do you not?
I don't. The only laser I have is that one on my little P35, 938, because it came with it. I just put a Post-it note on the wall with a dot, focus on that. I do have a G3C, so it has restrike, so I do a lot of my dry fire with that, because I don't have to cycle the slide every damn time.
Sure.
But that, or I still do the empty casing trick, because you want to get better, because I'm old and I don't want to pick the damn thing up all the time.
Yeah. Tony, do you do any dry fire practice at all? Do you do any? I mean, do you ever just kind of handle the gun a little bit, or just practice any draws or anything like that? I mean, I know, Tony, you mentioned before that you just haven't shot in a long time. Do you do that at all to kind of practice, or not?
Yes, I dry fire practice.
Okay.
Somewhat frequently.
With the do you use your SD9, your Smith & Wesson, or are you talking about the revolver, or both, or what?
I roll through everything I got.
Oh, okay. Good. Yeah, so you might just have a chance to actually use it. Squibby, do you do anything at all in terms of practice or dry fire at all, or you just save it for range time?
I mean, I did
practice draws or practice dry firing. Yeah,
I did a long time ago. It has its uses. It's, I just don't.
Yeah, it's okay. See, like, we all have kind of different levels of practice, and I don't do as much as I probably should, generally, because I'm either working or making videos, or I'm at the range shooting, but I probably should be practicing a bit more. And I noticed that when I'll get some of my guns out that I haven't fired for a couple of years, I mean, it's pretty rusty, and I'll go out and I'm like, God, I can't believe I went this long without shooting this thing, you know? But that's part of me rotating through all these different guns, making firearms content, is I don't always get to shoot all my own guns as much as I should or want to. So real quick, we got New York Outcast out there. He says, good morning, folks. Outcast, how you doing, man? Welcome. We're actually just wrapping things up here real quick before we call it. I'm going to go out to the range and do some shooting today myself. So Outcast is with us. So guys, make sure you get over to RNL Displays and check out their AR-15 wooden displays that we talked about earlier at the beginning of the episode. Definitely want to give them a holler and check them out. They got some great high quality stands for you that you can use. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. And I think we'll go ahead and let the panel just give us their final plugs, and just a shout out to Nice Strike, who was with us this morning, and Single Shot that was out there also. Thanks for joining us, guys. And Squib, we'll begin the plugs with you. Go right ahead.
Thanks for the invite.
No problem. Check out the Squibload channel. Check out the Squibload channel. Lots of great reviews. And if you're a fan of coffee, man, that's definitely the place to go. It's a wealth of information about the coffees of the world, man. I'm telling you, it's always good to get the take on what's out there that people drink. So,
my coffee reviews aren't really that good. I think I'm going to scrap the one I was talking about at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
No, send it out.
You got those, and you do the cocktails with Squibs. So you're checking out some really good liqueurs and alcohols and things like that. So you guys can live vicariously through Squib before you go buy it. Let Squib tell you whether or not you should go buy it, right?
That's amateur bartending and taste testing, and I get all kinds of remarks about the fact that it's not a professional grade kind of, and it never was meant to be. So don't watch those either, because
Or 99% of your consumers professionals that buy those things. No, they're just average people, and you're just giving them your take on whether or not you think it's any good.
I think people have different expectations of my videos and what they're meant to be. So, and they don't take the time to learn what the channel's about. So don't check my channel out.
No, I know. I have people just totally drop bombs on me in comments all the time, and they've never seen another video that I've ever done before. You know,
those are comments, and you're like, you know what? That's a comment that I read that's going to be put out of my mind and go on.
All right. So real quick, before we finish out the outros here, we'll come back to you. Patriot in the Dark has a question. Do any of you practice in the dark or low light? Says Patriot in the Dark. And he says, no joking. So Patriot in the Dark is visually impaired. So he's just kind of curious what our take is on that. I do occasionally practice some draws from the bedside gun because I've got a really bright light on it. So I always check that to make sure that I know where the switch is, to know where I'm pouring, to kind of get the grip on it. I mean, I do occasionally, but I do very little low light or night practice at all. So do you guys do any low light practice at all?
I don't. Honestly, I don't. I am like you. I don't dry fire practice that much. I probably do it. Embarrassingly, maybe once a month if I think about it.
Yeah. I don't know. Foos, any low light practice at all? Nighttime, dark stuff?
No, not really. Like I've since I've been up here in KC, I've started to shoot indoors more, where my fiber doesn't pop as much as it does outside.
Okay,
that's the only thing. And the only reason I've been shooting indoors because weather's been crappy and it's closer than outside. Just like it's raining right now. As soon as we finish here, I'm going to shower and go drop 200-300 rounds. Because
if you have night sights, I do recommend that you do some just safely unload the firearm. Obviously, snap caps, dummy rounds. Do practice pulling it out in the dark. Not in the dark, but low light conditions, because those dots are going to be a lot smaller than the traditional white dots that you find on most of your pistols of the same size, the same caliber. So you definitely want to get an idea, because that could take you longer to get that sight picture, to get those three little dots lined up. I mean, all the night sights I've ever tried have just been tiny little dots. They glow, but it's, and it is a different kind of feel and activity trying to get on target in a low light situation. So
low light situation stuff, going back to the index, that is where having a really good index will get you there, because it, let's say, it is very, very dark out, and you can just see an outline of, whatever coming into your house. If the gun just shows up, usually houses aren't gigantic to where if you need to start putting rounds down range, your index should be good enough for the 7 to 10 yards of your house.
Oh yeah.
So having a good index, especially that, and going out to even defensive shootings, or defensive issues, your index is going to be more than good enough.
Patriot the Dirk says, luckily, bad guys only show up in the daytime. Oh, man. G23 says, I practice in low light, no light. So it's just kind of, you should be familiar with your sights and know if you even have a sight picture in low light situations with your gun. You know,
again, that's where index comes back with the gun you handle. Like my night sight gun is a different gun than my competition guns. It has a different grip angle. I mean, I know that's something I do neglect because my shooting is competition based pretty much solely.
Yeah.
But that's a choice I'm willing to take. So
yeah. Tony, any low light or no light practice at all for you?
I shoot in the dark once in a while, but not much.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so all of us, I'd say limited experience at best, but again, like Goose has mentioned, indexing. If you are well in tune enough with that gun, then you know where that barrel's pointing. But it could be a different experience. So that's something interesting to talk about. So yeah. All right. So Squid, back to you. We were still doing the outro with you. We're on our way out, and I'd cut you off to talk about the low light shooting situation. Anything else you want to mention, Squid, before we go?
Nah.
Okay. All right. Defense Dad, anything you want to say before we go?
No, thanks for having me. Good talk.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Like I said, I wanted to give some good ideas and some good alternatives out there to range visits if you can't do it or it's just not happening for you. What are some of the options that you have and what can you do? And I think we have a lot of good information for people to start doing. So.
Well, I guess one thing I would say is if you can get out to the range, there's lots of drills you can do and not shoot more than 50 rounds and still get a decent training session if you want to.
Especially recently with the way ammo is, there's a lot of channels that are coming out with, like 10 round drills or, like where you go through total 10 rounds in like 20 minutes of practicing and drawing.
Well, if you really concentrate, if you do those drills, it's better than, just going and blast through mag dumps, 400 rounds of, so make it effective.
Yeah.
Something else can be done is dry firing at the range, meaning, let's say you have 3 targets out there. You put, you come out of holster, you fire your first round on the first target, and then instead of doing 2, you do 1, and then you go to the center target and you just let the gun show up, and as soon as you get an acceptable sight picture, move on to the third target and do the same. You could do that as well. Or if you do want to put 2 rounds on a target, you come up and you do 1 round and you get an acceptable sight picture for the second one, and then go instantly to the second 1 round. And coming out of recoil, get an acceptable sight picture. Move on to the third, another round, get acceptable sight picture. You can do stuff and train while also using less rounds on the range. Or if you're like, let's say you do go and you do, 2-2-2 on targets, and you notice, okay, my first round is good, my second round is moving to the left. Well, that means that your mind is saying, pull the trigger, and it has not gotten to your finger yet, and you're starting to turn your head away from the target to the next one. Well, that means, okay, next time, empty your gun, draw, and dry fire on the live range.
Yeah.
So there's other ways to save ammo.
Yeah.
I think Defense Dad summed it up in a way, part of the problem, just using the term mag dump. I'm kind of glad he mentioned that there just recently there. Here's the thing. I can tell you what I see at my range. I see people going out there, new shooters. My range is really conducive to families and new shooters. And I see people out there, they have no idea how to operate the gun. This is their first gun. It's showing up in the cardboard box. They don't even have a gun case or anything else. They've got money. Jobs here pay well. So they can afford the ammo or what have you, and they're at 10 yards with an AR-15, and they can't hit the target because they don't have a clue how to use it. Yeah. They let alone a handgun or anything else.
Or zero.
My range doesn't allow rapid fire. If you have to be told more than once, you'll be asked to leave. And it's not because they're a bunch of FUDs or any of that. It's because the noise. The noise will get us shut down. And people don't understand that. You'll have people come out there And it's like, well, I saw this in a movie. I want to do this. Well, the range where you can do that is 90 minutes away. Go down there, but you're going to be waiting in line behind all the people with their machine guns, because it literally that's where people go to shoot machine guns, right? And you can legally own one, and but therein lies another problem. You'll have the people that bellyache constantly about how much it costs to get a machine gun and all this, because just like the people doing the mag dumps, they think that speed replaces accuracy. If you're a new shooter or you're having trouble dealing with the shortage, slow it down. There is nothing wrong with slowing down your fire. You can pick up the pace, and you'll find that it's more enjoyable when your hits are you're getting it on target more, and you're working on your practice. I'm not saying that you have to go to the range. The dry fire and some of the other stuff is good. It does work. Just because I haven't done it in a long time doesn't mean that I don't know that it works. But, in addition to just saying, well, I guess I'm not going shooting this weekend and just accepting it, if you just slow down your fire, you can still have a good time at the range. Mm-hmm. You can conserve your ammo. You can keep your proficiency up. And different people are different. There are those out there that if they don't shoot a gun every weekend, they forget how to use it. And then there are other people that haven't picked up a gun in 10 years and they're putting them in the bullseye. Mm-hmm. Depends on what kind of person you are. And if you're a new shooter, you don't know yet. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But don't ever think that speed makes up for accuracy. So if you're trying to buy the ammo because you want to go out, maybe your range doesn't have rules like mine, right? And you can do the mag dumps, and you're at point blank range, dumping as many steel case rounds out of your AR as possible and high-fiving your friend going, I'm an operator. If that's your, you might want to look at changing your habits until this passes, until ammo is more affordable, and then just going back to, I guess, your fun, or just accept it. The bottom line is just accept it.
There's something that is said in the shooting world that also goes around with what Squib is saying. You can't miss fast enough to win. No matter and that goes not only in competition, but that goes in defensive carry or whatever. Yeah. You can't miss fast enough to win. Well, because like in defensive situation, people are always like, "Oh, it's a race to the first round." No, it's a race to the last round.
My point in bringing that up, not to drag the outros out. I know you're gonna get going, but
we're all good.
I see again a lot of new shooters, and I hate to say it, but sometimes they're just more about looking cool, shooting and everything.
Yes.
And they're dumping all these ammo, and if, God forbid, those guys get into a defensive situation, they're more likely to shoot the person they're not trying to shoot because they don't take time to learn where they're supposed to shoot.
It looks like a bunch of cops shooting at a car driving away in Elizabeth City, North Carolina.
They look like stormtroopers, man. Like there's nothing on the target, but they just dumped a 30.
They're hitting the target holders and stuff,
And I watch these guys at my range, even though they're not allowed to rapid fire. Seriously, they high five each other, and I'm looking at the target, going, "You didn't even hit it. You didn't even hit it."
I see people, they get the fun 6, the 30-round Glock bags and everything. They empty it. I'm like, to me, that's boring as hell. I'd rather have a 10-round magazine, to be honest with you, and shoot it and be accurate with it than dump 30 and not be able to shoot anything smaller than a basketball.
But if you're a new shooter and you start off slow and work your way up to faster shooting, maybe by the time you get proficient enough where you're more effective when you're fast, because there is a time and place for rapid fire, by then maybe the prices have come down on ammo. You can work this to your favor. But I do agree with you. For some people, I think it's just looking cool. I've seen people that show up and they look like an operator and all this stuff. They break every safety rule. Their gun jams, their gun breaks, and it's like,
they got the 9-line T-shirt and the 511 pants, dude. They got to be legit.
Yeah, like I had a guy not too long ago. He had a Smith & Wesson 40, and they were shooting. We were talking, and he was like, the sights are off. He hands this off to this guy who's supposed to be RSO training and everything. He's like, yeah, the sights are off. The sights are off. He's like, well, and then they looked at me like, why don't you shoot it? Tell me what you think. And I'm not a great shot. I am not. And I popped it up in first round bullseye, second one bullseye. I'm like, sorry guys, not to be a jerk, but it's not the sights.
No, so you're not. Yeah, you're definitely not focusing.
So something whenever you go shooting, take your ego out of it. If you're a new shooter and and you can only do a basketball size or whatever at 5 yards, that's okay. You're not gonna be awesome first time, but what like me again, a lot of stuff I say is due to competition. You have these keyboard commando guys coming out looking like they just dropped out of SEAL Team 6, or maybe they've been in LE for 5 years and they want to come out and they're all jacked. Yeah, I'm awesome. And then you have a computer programmer that's 300 pounds, wipe their butt. It's just because of the amount of training and stuff like that other people do. Do not compare yourself with other people. Get better for yourself, and then if you get into a competitive world, then you start doing that. Go out for your own reasons. Do what you need to do to get better. If you don't know how to get better, there's ways to get better. Look at dry fire. Look at people that actually do it. You're a UGEtube. So there's people that go around and teach at a professional reason. But also look into the sporting world. There are a lot of people that educate sport shooters, but most of the time they're actually educating LE military. This one guy, I don't want to say his name, but he goes around the world. He teaches. He's a very prominent USPSA shooter. He teaches military people how to shoot, and he's never been military. He's an accomplished shooter. Shooting is shooting. If you don't know how to start, look at sports shooting, and there's a wealth of knowledge in that realm that crosses over to the Timmy shooting, the what we call them, the face shooters, the people that acting like that they're military or acting like they're SWAT team, stuff like that. And it also goes over to the individual wanting, hey, I want to protect my family and my home, or concealed carry. Everything's the exact same. Gun handling is gun handling. Learn how to figure out how to handle the gun and do what you need to do. Whether you get it from a tactical shooter, whether you get it from a sport shooter, whatever, it doesn't matter where you get the information from, as long as it's good information and it gets you where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a mental thing, if it is dry fire, if it is blasting 50,000 rounds a year, figure out what you need to do to get you to your goals, and then get there.
Right on. Foos, you want to say anything in closing here before we call it? I got a couple things I need to mention before we go. So anything else?
That's it. Okay. Like you, I'm gonna go drop a couple hundred rounds because I'm not gonna
drop a couple hundred rounds today. I wish, but I'm taking out the probably gonna do about 12. We're gonna take out the 308 and just get it sighted, get it zeroed, make a happy video, and then come home. Yeah.
and something else too, like whenever I put rounds downrange, I put rounds downrange for a purpose. If I go to put rounds downrange just for fun, I won't take my 40. I'll take my 32 auto. I'll take a 9 Mac. I'll take one of my other rifles that I have.
22 semi-auto.
Yeah, I'll go out. Oh, I haven't shot my Mauser in a while. My 8 mil, my 7 Mauser. I'll take that out. I'll take other stuff out to just have fun.
Oh yeah,
to where I'm not burning something that I'm training on.
Exactly.
So,
right. Tony, anything you want to say before we go?
Well, first off, I've been shooting a gun for 50 years, and I absolutely hate shooting paper.
Okay.
I mean, I find it the most boring goddamn thing on earth to shoot at a paper target.
Okay.
However, it's still the best way to get accurate. So I'm not saying people shouldn't do it, not by any stretch. And sighting in a gun, it's also pretty critical. So, there are people that are avid gun enthusiasts that hate the fucking range. But to the guy who is practicing with the 22, where God's name are you finding that? And it's ridiculously overpriced anywhere I've ever seen somebody have it.
We've gotten it a few times out here. I mean, every area is different. There are some dry zones in the country where they don't get squat for ammo. They can't get squat for ammo. We've had plenty of opportunities to buy 22 LR out here in Nebraska. But we're not a population dense state either. So there's a little bit more for us versus a place that has 2 to 3 times the population.
I've found more 32 and 25 auto during this. I haven't bought any because I'm stocked up on my 32. But like I've seen more of that than I've seen 9 as of late. Like, so maybe, if you have a small 32 auto, okay. I'll
pretty much the only places I look are like online at Brownells and Sportsman's Guide,
it's gonna be gone.
Midway, because I'm not looking to buy any. I've got all I need for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But it's just curious to me how people can get it and do it. If they ain't got any, I guess locals are doing better.
And in some calibers, I have enough for 3 lifetimes.
Well, good. I'll take some. Actually, I will be this summer. So yeah.
Yeah. So back whenever I got into firearms, I bought an AK-74, and I'm sitting on about 12,000 rounds of 7 and 6. So, that was back, whenever I was buying 1,000 rounds for, the single tins for like $80.
Yeah.
I just bought heavily into that because I'm like, I want to have a rifle. I want to train. This was even before I started competing. I'm like, well, I want to train. I got to get this stuff in bulk. So, do what you can when you can.
Exactly. Got a wise sage out there that goes by the name of New York Outcast. He goes, I've been set in my ways, and I've had a person with no knowledge see things that could be improved. Keep an open mind and consider all criticisms. IMO, in my opinion, none of us know everything.
Yep.
So, there you go. That's the lesson for today, kids. That is the fortune cookie moral for today. So
the more you learn about anything, the more you realize how stupid you are about that topic.
Yeah. Hey, so before we're done here, I'm going to go and post a link on the YouTube side for you guys. So Sandhill Shooter, I mentioned this last week. Sandhill Shooter, his wife is undergoing treatment for lymphoma, and she's still in the hospital. If you guys could help support Sandhill Shooter over on Patreon, I'm sure the family would appreciate it. If you want to help out through PayPal, you can contact Sandhill Shooter over on through Gmail. And again, I'll post a link for the Patreon, and you'll have that contact information. Also, subscribe to Sandhill Shooter over on YouTube, and definitely give him some support and give him a shout out if you can. And he'll be posting some content here soon for you guys. But just a heads up on that. Keep his wife in your prayers and stuff as she starts to heal. She grows basically a brand new immune system with a stem cell transplant that she's had recently. So anyway, help him out, and the link's right there for you. I want you guys to do that for me. Otherwise, let's give a little shout out to SS Pawn for their support. Every week, it's awesome to have SS Pawn on board. And a lot of the firearms that you see in this channel have come from the armory of Stan, the owner of SS Pawn. And then also don't forget about your rnldisplays.com. Get over there and check those out. The refined way to show off your fine firearm. rnldisplays.com. Get over there and check that out too. So anyway, let's give a little shout out to all the people that were with us today. Squibload, Squiblift, Squibby, thanks for being here. Night Strike, thanks for being here too today. Also, Single Shot was with us also. Make sure you guys all check out their channels. New York Outcast was joining in today. Patriot in the Dark out there bringing up some good points. He says you might want to remind people to check out the comments section that's over there on the ATF or AFT website over there. You can make a comment on the classification of the receivers that they're trying to push for, and all the garbage associated with that, and also braces and so on. Let's not let those things get classified as machine guns, please, or even require a serial number and an FFL to purchase. So make sure that you get over to the ATF website and leave your comments over there if you can. Also joining in, we got Kevin June with us today. Tahuya Bar and Girls with us. Justin Grimm. Tahuya says, good topic today, lads. I learned something while doing my chores. There you go, man. G23 joined in today too. Patriot in the Dark. Tacos and French Fries was with us. A lot of conversation going on. William Trader's out there today too. Hello, William. Boat 75 in the house. and Review left a couple comments, but then retracted those comments. So I don't know what's going on. But Irish Wrist Watcher, thank you so much for the super chat today. And I hope you enjoy that Ivor Johnson 1911. It should be a lot of fun. Bernie B. Sanchez out there also. KR watching today. Ozzy Osbourne. Tommy Gunn with us. Wheeled and Well Armed. And KR chiming in also. Justin Grimm. Gizzard Gary was with us. Make sure you guys get over there and check out Gizzard Gary's channel. And who's all got shows today? Is G23 have a show tonight? G23, you got a show tonight or not? And then also Rick's Life as I See It should be on this afternoon. 3 o'clock Eastern time, 2 o'clock Central. Is that about right? Rick's Life? Do you guys know?
Yep.
Sometimes the times
3
change.
o'clock, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 o'clock
3
Central.
o'clock Eastern, the only time zone that matters.
Mm-hmm. The one that goes underwater when we have our next tsunami. And then Central Time, the one where people thrive and survive. That's right.
Central Time, where all the nation's food is produced.
Exactly.
So if you want to tune in
me.
to Rick's Life as I See It at 3 Central, you'll be waiting an hour.
Yes. No, make sure you guys catch it when it kicks off, and that's a great show to listen to. You know, these podcasts are wonderful. If you got some driving that you're doing or a project you're working on, hop on a podcast and listen, and that's what got me started on the whole thing. So,
hey, an hour behind. Seat.
True. What's that, Tony?
An hour will get you a good seat.
Right on. You know it. Be an hour early if you should. If you want to, just get on an hour early, start commenting on the chat box, and be the first one there. So, all right, guys. So this has been podcast number 189. Just trying to give you some advice or looking for ways to cope with what may or may not be an ammo shortage in your area or in your situation. Training ideas, practical ideas to just enjoy that range time without actually going to the range. You know, is that affecting our training time? Yeah, we could say maybe it is, and then also our range time a little bit. Depends on your situation, right? Depends if you stockpile, if you reload, if you were ready for this, if you foresaw this before, or if you're the new person that's sitting on a half a box of ammo and that's all you got. So either way, I think there's something for everybody in today's episode. Next Saturday, I may or may not be on vacation next Saturday, just to kind of give you guys a heads up. So we might have a undisclosed new broadcasting location. We might have a different background or no background at all. Just want to let everybody know about that. I'll be dropping a couple videos this week also coming out. And it should be a good time, so make sure you check it out. Also, as soon as we hit 40,000 subscribers, if and when that happens, we're going to be giving away an Ivor Johnson Zombie Edition 45 ACP 1911 in conjunction with SS Pawn. It's a generous contribution from SS Pawn to my channel to celebrate 40,000 subs. If it happens, we'll see. And we'll go from there. So that's about it, guys, for the panel. I want to thank you guys for being here. And everybody, have fun, be safe. Make sure you like and subscribe. And as you know, we will talk to you soon.